Hello, BookTube. This is the Q&A video. We passed 500 subscribers about a week ago, and I said I'd answer any questions folks sent in, and we got quite a few. I'm going to do it a little different setup here than I'm used to. So I've got my laptop over here to try to work through the questions, so hopefully I don't miss any. It's a snowy morning. The family's been battling, the kids and myself, the seasonal illnesses. I don't think they're quite the flu, but we've had an interesting week here at the house. So yeah, we're looking forward to the spring. So anyway, let me start out. So the first question is Barbara Dahl. Curious about what made you decide to move back to Vermont. Well, it's complicated. My wife's from Massachusetts and I'm from Vermont. And we met in Florida. When I wasn't a librarian, I was asset protection for some big companies. And after we got married and all that, I said I wanted to go back and do what I'd always dreamed of doing, which was being a librarian, which I should have done at a much younger age, to be honest with you. And so I went back to grad school and decided to move to Maine for a while. I had some family in Maine. My family's been back and forth between Vermont and Maine. The distance isn't great. And I've lived my life in Maine and Vermont. So I went there, and then they ended up taking a job once I completed grad school here in Vermont. So that's how we ended up in Vermont, not very far from where I was born, right down the road. So thank you, Barbara. And D. Moo, many congratulations, Mark, on 500. You deserve many more. Thank you. My questions are, considering the size of your library and how much time do you spend on rereading, and what series of books that you have part of is your main objective collecting full? Best wishes. Well, thank you. There's a lot of collections I'm working on right now. Trying to finish out the Bernard Cornwell ones about the North. The series, it's a TV series. All of a sudden it's escaping me. I think I have all but one of his Sharp volumes. I don't know how I missed that. I love Bernard Cornwell's Sharp series. I have quite a few. I'd like to finish out some more of the Library of America volumes. I love the Black Dust Jacket volumes, but I like the other volumes too, the box slipcase ones. So yeah, there's always plenty I'm trying to catch up on. I'm trying to reconstitute my science fiction and fantasy library, which was been devastated over the years with many moves and all that. A lot of them were paperbacks when I first got them. So Graham Quigley, congratulations on reaching 500 subscribers. Thank you. If you could choose a dinner party with any 3 authors, past or present, who would you choose? Wow. So do you choose them because they'd be a good conversation partner for yourself or myself? Or do you choose them because you just want to sit back and watch the fireworks as they discuss things with each other? I could make decisions based on either. I'd like to have in a room Frank Herbert, the author of Dune. I think I'd like to listen to Isaac Asimov. I've read so many stories about Asimov at conventions and at other places, and I think he was quite a character. So I think I would pick Isaac Asimov. And then get out of the science fiction realm, but keep close to that world, I would pick J.R.R. Tolkien. And I can't imagine 3 more different people to sit around and talk to. But yeah, there's so many I'd love to. I mean, we just did a video on Ursula K. Le Guin. It's sad to think she's gone, but what story she must have. James Triptree Jr. I'm about to read some of her short fiction that I picked up at a book hall at the Brattle. And I know her life was fascinating, and similar to that would be Cordwainer Smith. So yeah, it's sort of heavy fantasy and science fiction, and I'm just getting back into reading that. I don't know why. I guess I'm a little fixated lately. So this is from, let me scroll up a little bit here, from Eric Hale or Heil. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, Eric. Congratulations, sir. I'll ask a few questions and feel free to answer or not answer as many as you wish. Okay, that's interesting. Let's see what we have here. If you were to suggest a book that you wish more people would read for any reason, what would it be? I guess I know a lot of people on BookTube read Hermann Hesse. One of my favorite books ever is Narcissus and Goldman. Similar vein, well, not similar book, but another one that I really enjoyed that is Nikos Kazantzakis, Freedom or Death. So yeah, I think those two would be ones that I would be, yeah, those would be interesting. Have you had any truly remarkable, notable personal experiences while working for the library? Yes. As you can imagine, it's a public building. But the funniest part, for me, it's a story I tell. I came down from Maine to get interviewed at the library, and the interview was at night. And it's a small library. Since I've been there, we've added a couple additions to the building. But it's an old building, brick, 1902, I believe. Yeah, 1902. And I came in at night, sat down around a table with this committee that was interviewed me after they reviewed all the paperwork and all that. And it went pretty well. So I get a call a couple days later with the job offer, and I accepted. And I came back, and then my first day obviously was daylight, and I walked up, and there's a porta potty. The fire marshal had closed the bathroom because it was in the cellar. The stairs weren't ADA compliant. So the first thing we did is build an addition that included restrooms. But about 2 months into the construction, it was wintertime, and I was standing next to a window that was where the porta potty was outside of, and the roof decided to release its pile of snow, and it smushed the porta potty, and I jumped about 3 feet in the air. So that would be pretty odd. You're sitting in your chair by a window, which I'm doing right now, reading a book that you love. What kind of weather do you want outside the window to complete the experience? Maybe rain. I like it when it's raining. Yeah, I would say rain. Thoughts on The Mote in God's Eye by Larry Niven. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Yeah, I couldn't recommend it highly enough. In fact, I would like to actually find a copy. It's been a long time. Yeah, that would be no doubt about it. If you could share the joy of one Vermont season with someone who's never been, what season would that be? Autumn, for sure. Yep, autumn. So, thank you, Eric. So let me scroll up here a little bit. And James Holder. Hi, James. How did you manage getting Steve Donahue to Vermont and back to Hyde Cottage? Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not quite sure myself. I tell everybody that I just called his personal secretary, Frida, and she said okay. It was great fun. It was, as you can imagine, it was great fun, and he's a wonderful fella, and Frida's wonderful too. But I don't live that far from, a couple hours from Steve, so if he can put up with me driving in Boston, he can put up with about anything. Do you prefer Perot or Miss Marple? Hercule Poirot. Um, what are your top 5 science fiction and top 5 fantasy books? Huh. Top 5 science fiction. I would go first with Dune. I would go. Boy. I would. I'd say Left-Handed Darkness by Le Guin. I would say I like the Foundation series very much by Asimov. Just see, there's so many. Uh, yeah, I would say I really like the Dragon Riders of Pern trilogy by Anne McCaffrey. We just did I did a reread and a buddy read with Elena Macardina. And then number 5, and these would all change if you asked me in a week. I'm just trying off the top of my head to answer them. Any of the Vorkosigan, Louis McMaster Bujold, any of those. They're wonderful. 5. And then fantasy, Lord of the Rings had a huge influence on me at a young age. Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser, which, against probably most folks' judgment, I like as much as I like it as much as I like the Lord of the Rings. They're different. They're different things. Oh, I would say any of the Conan books, I would put them as fantasy. And Michael Moorcock's Elric, again. Trying to think here. The Belgariad by Eddings, which I also need to find copies of. I've had them many times. And which bookstore is your favorite? I would put the Brattle up there. I was very impressed when I went there. It was amazing. The lot next to it, I think, was the most exciting part. Books for $1, $3, or $5. And they were good books. They were good books. I've been in used bookstores, where some of those books would be premiered, you know what I mean? You wouldn't get them for that money. There's a bookstore over in Henniker that I keep forgetting to look up the name of. I go, I think it's Depot or something like that. It's a big barn. It's a wonderful, wonderful used bookstore. You wander around there for hours. Those two, the dream of mine is to go to the Strand and to go to Powell's. Now that I've been to the Brattle, I'm partway down my list. So, yeah, thank you, James. All right, moving along here. Highbury. I find work increasingly more stressful these days. Do you enjoy running the local library? I've always thought a library would be a great place to work in my final career years and into retirement. I do enjoy it. It matters what job you have in the library and what size library. Mine is small. My library is very small. It's a small community, and the nice thing is I get to know just about everybody in the community. That can be good and bad. Most of them are wonderful people. And there's a lot of support for the library, but there's also opposition. There's a lot of late nights. I have even though I'm an old fellow, I have very young children. So you do miss out on some stuff. It's like almost any other job that is closely related to politics in a way. I mean, I serve on a lot of committees. I serve on trustees and commissions and all these things that could go with the job, promote the interests of the library and the mission of the library. So there's a lot of late night hours. There's a lot of stress. Budget time right now is, and I'm surprised I have any hair left. And you worry about it and you work at it. So to be a director of anything, even a small library like I am, does have its stresses like any other job. Has its good points as bad points like any other job. But if you were to get into a library where you could be like an assistant director or director of a department, it's a wonderful. I like my job too, but it's a wonderful thing to do and to bring a lifetime of work experiences to. I think those librarians like that are the best. if you have a wide range of work history and past experiences. So it's a good thing to consider. Just pick what amount of stress you're willing to take, and there's all different types of jobs in a library. I always thought I'd like to be an archivist. I started out training to be an archivist instead of a public librarian. And I've worked in archives, and I very much love them. And I took the public library director's job basically because when I got out of grad school, I took the first available job I needed to work. And I've grown into the job to the point I'm glad it happened that way. Serendipity, just like when I look on a bookshelf and see one next to one I was looking for, then to want more. It's no different. So thank you. Here, let me. Debbie Baker, congratulations, Mark. Thank you. Elena Macrodina. I probably missed that, but did reading on history and archaeology come first, or did studying history and archaeology start you into reading books about them? What was the first history or archaeology? What's your favorite ancient civilization? Thank you, Elena. Books started it. C.W. Searham's God, Graves, and Scholars, and then some of his other works. That's what excited me. There are histories of archaeology, and I became very caught up in the romance of archaeology. My undergrad degree is in archaeology, and one of my graduate degrees is related to archaeology. So I was very, very much the books first. I think I didn't go to become an undergrad until I was in my between mid and late 20s, because I was in the service before that. So even though I read that book as a young person, it rolled around in my noggin there for a while, and it really influenced me. So I'd say, yeah, the books came first. My favorite ancient civilization? Boy, that's a tough one. I have visited the Mayan ruins. There's always new discoveries there. Yeah, I don't know. I've worked in the American Southwest a little bit. I enjoyed that. Never seen ancient Egypt, and I've never been to Greece, so I've always been interested in them. So there's plenty of them. Okay, let me move up here a little bit. Run Right Reads. Congratulations on 500 subs. Thank you. I remember watching one of your videos where you found a newspaper clipping or something in a book. So my question, what's the weirdest thing you've ever found in a used book? Yeah, okay. I'm not even sure I can say. I don't like newspaper clippings in books because the acid leaches out of newspaper. And I'm sure anybody who buys used books have seen the little tobacco stain colored outlines of papers in used book. And I often will, before our book sales at the library, I get boxes and boxes of used books. So I found some pretty strange things in them. Usually it's airline ticket stubs, and it's all sorts of cool bookmarks. I love those. Oh, it's odd papers, odd things usually used for bookmarks. I remember in school, I've never seen this, but in school once, we saw pictures of somebody who used a strip of bacon as a bookmark. Can you imagine what that does to paper? I have found money in books too, dollar bills and stuff that are used as bookmark. Donna Kirby, congratulations on 500. Thank you. Let me see here. Ingrid Fitz. Congrats. My question would be, what got you started on sci-fi? Was it a particular book, story, author that caught your attention? For me, it was Isaac Asimov's short stories. I would second that to a degree. I mean, early on, I found Asimov's short stories, Nightfall, stuff like that. And Asimov was a big deal to me. Lucky Star books when I was younger, working my way into Foundation, Caves of Steel, thing like that. So I can understand the Asimov. Heinlein was huge to me. The Juveniles, and then also later on his more adult novels. Andre Norton was one of the first ones for me, Starman's son. Then let's see, yeah, Dune. When I had that weird juxtapositions of two books, and I think in the same year or close to it. Yeah, I think it was the same year, but in the early 1970s, I discovered The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings and Dune, and that was an awful lot of good stuff there. So that Dune became the most powerful one for me. But I've read tons, and a lot of times with me with science fiction, I also read a lot of short fiction because that was the strength of the genre, and there was all the magazines out and stuff. Let me see here. Matthew L. You're going away to a deserted island for an entire year and are allowed to bring with you only 5 books. What five do you bring? I, for one, hope that there will be no Regency romances on that list. yeah, no, there won't be. I did read a Regency romance. Georgette Heyer, I can't remember which one it was. And it's because I watched Steve Donohue's channel, and if he liked him so much, I was going to give him a fair shot. And I did like it, but it's, yeah. So 5 books. I actually have, and I looked at this question, and I grabbed 3 of the 5. Because I don't own the first one, which is the Landmark Thucydides. And I don't own the last one, which just came out, and that's Julius Caesar's writing, also Landmark. But I would bring these and work my way through them. If I had a year, I'd actually probably bring more, but obviously. So I have the Landmark Arrian, Campaigns of Alexander, the Landmark's Xenophon's Hellenica, and the Landmark Herodotus, the histories. And these things have all sorts of helps and appendices and photos and annotations. The translations, from my understanding, are of various quality, I guess, which is not surprising. These were all edited by Robert B. Strassler, sometimes with more people helping him, and they are Pantheon Books out of New York. So I will get Thucydides, and I will eventually get Julius Caesar's, and but those I'd bring with me because I think it'd be fun to sort of work through them. So I'm going to break this up and do a part 2. It's 23 minutes long. I probably went on longer than I should have. So thank you, BookTube.